Hello again, House of Pain Wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 17 of Hop TV. Coming up on this episode, we have an exclusive interview with one of the most popular wrestlers in House of Pain Wrestling, second generation star, Garrett G-Whiz Bond, and we will see him in action later as well. But before then, in our first match, we head to St. Anne's as we watch the almighty Bjorn going one-on-one with sensational Say Malik in a match that blew a lot of House of Pain fans away. Let's go to the action. We're live in St. Anne's, ladies and gentlemen, and we have one half of Hot and Spicy in sensational Say Malik going one-on-one with one half of Violence and Volume in the almighty Bjorn, as you see the two men lock up as Bjorn charges Say Malik into the corner, rubs his forearm in his face for good measure and meets him with a big uppercut. And the man who likes to shout his own name takes a big run up. It gets nothing but turnbuckle as Say Malik jumps on with a monkey flip, but no, Bjorn showing some agility and being able to reverse that one, but getting caught with a roll up as he runs Say Malik with a big leapfrog and another leapfrog, and he ghosts him coming off the ropes into a Hurricane Rana, taking him down to the mat. The St. Anne's crowd firmly in the corner of the sensational one as he himself misses a charge in the corner but meets Bjorn with a massive boot, jumps over him, head nip to the other side, lies across the buckle into a big roll up, kicks up to his feet and a kick straight to the face. Say Malik is certainly extraordinary, ladies and gentlemen. Sudden as a hiccup, or quick as a hiccup, whatever that expression is. You see Bjorn rolling to the apron to try and get some recovery time and some space, but Say's jumping out onto the apron himself as he goes for a punch. Bjorn setting him up for something. Dear God! Ladies and gentlemen, in a move known as the X-Plex, Bjorn has just suplexed Say Malik on the apron, and you saw him bounce and go straight to the floor. He may not be getting up from that. Bjorn might have this one by count out. We'll be back after a short break.
My life on a regular, ayy, but the attacks are perpetual, ayy. Forbidden fruit seems so edible, ayy. You try resist like a elliptical train. My mama told me it's spiritual, ayy. So I'm under armor like I'm Curry. Look, you cannot bear with the boy, yeah. This is not the Jungle Book. Accuse me, no he would. I'm just covered by the blood. Thinking about the way that they did you, serpent crushing like Valentine's Day. Sick with the mission, cross with the finish. Don't try to slide in my DM. OJ Simpson with the defense. Leg of fire saying knee in last weekend, but not today, say.
And we're back for this singles match, House of Pain fans, as Bjorn has taken firm control after that move on the apron, and he's about to follow up with another huge landing as he springs off the bottom rope, twists and lands with his full body weight across the chest and ribs of Say Malik, who, quite honestly, I'm completely shocked he's still in this match after that landing on the apron. But he's all heart, Say Malik, one half of Hot and Spicy, and now he's even fighting back with those punches to the stomach, but one big club to the back from Bjorn sends him back down to the mat. He must be in an abnormal amount of pain after that X-Plex on the apron. Vicious move by Bjorn, but you see Sage hold on, retaliates with a back elbow. Boot gets caught and a kick to the head. Sage seems to be mounting a comeback now. As he jumps, Bjorn avoids, but still gets met with a big drop kick. You see Sage landing on his back from that drop kick, even though he hit the move. It seemed to have winded him. I'm not surprised after how much damage that suplex on the apron must have caused. But he's still fighting back with an enziguri off the apron as he rolls in with another big drop kick. And another one. Didn't get all of that, but he got enough to send Bjorn down to the mat as he whips him off. Bjorn reverses. Say Malik bounces off the ropes with the back of his shoulders into a beautiful crossbody. And he is all fired up now, that adrenaline going through his body. Blocking the pain, more the punishment that Bjorn's put him through with a drop kick in the corner. Bjorn throwing him over to the apron and a head to the buckle. Say Malik seems to be setting him up for something. Springs in, jumps to the second with a beautiful Hurricane Rana, an even bigger Hurricane Rana than the last one we saw earlier in the match as he grabs him around the neck for a move that's more commonly known as sliced bread. But Bjorn, the tough fighter that he is, kicks out just before the count of 3. It'll be telling to see when the adrenaline of Say Malik will run out and that pain in his back will come back to haunt him, as you see both men coming up from their knees, exchanging shots. Big forearm from Malik, returned by Bjorn with a twisting forearm, sending Malik down to his knees. Vicious striker is Bjorn with those hands and elbows. Say Malik more of his feet as he goes for a crucifix, puts an extra bit of momentum into it and slams Bjorn down to the mat. But Bjorn's still kicking out. Great innovation there by the sensational Say Malik, turning the crucifix counter almost into a power bomb as he goes for that tornado DDT, but Bjorn gets rid of him. Spinning backhand. We just referenced how good he is with his hands as he, my God, he cut him in half with that spear. But Say Malik kicks out and lives to fight another day. Both of these men looking for one final big move to put the other one away. After an insane amount of high impact moves, I'm surprised they're both still standing as Bjorn drags Malik back to his feet, only for Malik to return fire with some punches and a big enziguri to the back of the head. He comes off the ropes. Bjorn counters into a reverse X-plex. You saw Say Malik try to get his foot down there, try to reverse it, but it was not enough. He still ate canvas as you see Bjorn scale into the top rope with a huge elbow drop across the lower back of Say Malik, which we said was already in bits, as you see him locking on a double arm stretch, more commonly known as the Rings of Saturn. Say Malik will be an absolute hero if he survives this. He managed to get his arm free, but Bjorn now transitions to a crossface instead. You see Say Malik trying to sliver back and he's got his foot on the rope. Absolutely heroic effort here by Say Malik, surviving that elbow off the top and that submission. He must be on 0.001% energy as you see him return fire with another kick to the face. He goes up. Bjorn looking for that tombstone, but Say Malik wiggles out and turns it into a cradle. But Bjorn kicks out again. As you see, Sage jumps to the second, turns, 2 knees right to the face of Bjorn. He's going for that DDT again. You see him spin straight on the top of his head. Bjorn bounced off his head. And we have a winner, House of Pain fans. Sensational Say Malik takes the win here in St. Anne's. Great win there. We are back on episode 18 of House of Pain TV, and joining us for this episode for an exclusive interview is the only champ in House of Pain history, second generation star, Garrett G-Whiz Bond. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Given the circumstances, right? We're all going through a little bit of hurt, but no, I'm doing very good, to be fair.
It's good to hear. We are indeed all just getting through, I assume, is what you mean by that. It's great to have you. Okay, we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Firstly, you've had quite a few rivalries in House of Pain over the years. You've held 2 belts, as we mentioned before. Who do you think, out of all the people that you've come to blows with, has been your biggest rival, your biggest test, okay, to date?
That's a great question. And like you say, there's been a few, but as soon as you said that, my thought process goes to LJ Heron. You know, we've had some battles over the years, and I think ultimately when you look at it as a rivalry, nothing really comes close to that. That was a long-standing one. So yeah,
I'm sure a lot of fans would agree. It seemed that every match you guys had, got more and more dramatic, and it was just both of you constantly trying to find a way to keep the other one down, and sometimes it just seemed impossible.
Yeah, well, I think as well, because obviously the more you wrestle someone, the more you start like even now, I know if I was to wrestle him right now, I'd have it in here what he's going to do, and I'm sure ultimately he'd have the same for me. When you wrestle that much, you're going to know the other person's strategy. So each match, like you say, as we're going through some rivalries and stuff, you start thinking, okay, you're going to bring this to the next one, and what can I do to counter that? What can I do to avoid that? So like you say, as each match went on, it just seemed to be more and more. But yeah, I wouldn't expect anything. So.
Would you say, obviously you winning the House of Pain title was a very special moment, but would you say that the Iron Man match that you did with LJ Heron was probably on par with that as far as achievements? It's the as far as I can remember, I should be able to remember, the only Iron Man match that we've ever done in House of Pain history, especially at that length. Half an hour, and if memory serves correct, it was in the summer.
Yeah, it was warm. It was a warm night.
Which means the heat in that building was, when the fans are sweating, okay, when 2 guys have been going at it, for half an hour, you can imagine the amount of sweat they're losing. And I think after the match, someone referenced it looked like you 2 guys had just come out from a swimming pool.
It felt like it too. It felt like it. I remember one time when I pinned him for one of the falls. Actually, was I remember getting up, and as we all know, LJ is very ripped, and I could just see a little pool of sweat in between his abs, and it was highly likely it was just mine. I don't know, but yeah, that was one of those where, like you say, in terms of up there, that like alongside winning the title, yeah, it was. We knew we went through a battle with that, and ultimately we knew it couldn't end any sooner than 30 minutes. So a match with LJ is still a hard graft, So
you're going for whoever you want to or not.
Yeah. So
every wrestler around the world, and every wrestler that's come into House of Pain, has had a dream of being a wrestler and performing and working hard in front of crowds. But you are a slightly different case. You've seemingly had it in your blood, since the day you were born, with your father being a World of Sport legend himself, and now you being a second-generation star. Do you think there's any part of that plays into the way that you wrestle and the mentality that you have going into your matches?
Yeah, definitely. So, like you say, from when I was a little kid, like beyond what I remember, like my earliest memories, I'll go into these halls with Dad when he's wrestling, and at the time I'm sort of like 3-4 years old and looking for a football and not necessarily focused on what he's doing in the ring, because ultimately for me it was just Dad. That's what he'd done. But growing up in the business and being around that and being around people like Giant Haystacks and likes, big names and stuff, it's more now I can appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even getting into wrestling, as in to actually doing it myself, to ultimately the reality is it was when he got inducted into the British Wrestling Hall of Fame, which was after he died. That was old wrestlers saying, "Are you gonna get involved?" And at the time, I'm thinking, I'm not really thought about it, but the trigger. I'd grown up with wrestling. I loved wrestling all through that time. It never stopped, but that was the trigger. And that sort of moment of going, hold on a minute. So in terms of do I bring that to the ring, I think more so in a mentality side of things, like not with an ego, but I just think, like you say, like this is in my blood. It's sort of second nature in my thought process. So yeah, definitely. There's I'd say there's a certain confidence in my head that tells me, hey, anyone, I've got as good a chance as any, no matter who I'm against. And I think that's what's kind of been brought through that way.
That's good. I mean, we mentioned your title win previously just now, and the current House of Pain heavyweight champion is the much loved monster, the Tank Jackson Bane. We spoke to another very popular wrestler in Diamond Dave Andrews a few weeks ago, and he made it abundantly clear that he wanted that belt back over his shoulder or around his waist, and the privilege of calling himself once again House of Pain heavyweight champion. Do you share those sentiments? And if so, how do you see a match, which many would call a dream match in House of Pain? How do you see a match going down if you ever went one-on-one with someone who, you know, could certainly match you physically from a strength department as the Tank Jackson Bane?
Yeah, well, first of all, DDA is looking great. He's got himself in great shape, so I can see why he would picture himself in that scene as well. So, but in terms of with Jackson Bane, like you say, he's a big guy. He's strong. He is, and if I'm honest, I've enjoyed watching him beat up quite a few of the guys at Hop without me having to stress with it, you know. So I've enjoyed that side of things. But of course, and I don't want people to think that the title isn't still very much in my forefront. I want that belt, no doubt about it. And I imagine, I'd hope everyone is in that same boat of wanting a title, wanting that shot. But again, going back to what I just said about the mentality side, the reality is Jackson Bane is big, is strong, but this is second nature for me. And yeah, like, do I fancy my chances? Not even questionable. So yeah, like I love what he's doing, but I'd happily take that belt off him.
I think everyone would agree that you need a certain amount of confidence to rule any division in wrestling, okay? Especially when you're dealing with such monsters as someone like the Tank and Barricade, and you know, really athletic heavyweights like yourself and LJ Herron. Okay, you need a lot of tools, okay, to hold that belt and to call yourself King of the Mountain. Speaking of which, someone that you're not so fond of in former champion Big Papa Goose Troy. Our feature match of this episode is a very, very close call that you had in becoming so close to taking that belt off of his loud waist. We're going to see that match, okay, in just a few minutes. G-Wiz, it's been absolutely tremendous. It's been a pleasure to have you here on Hop TV.
Well, thank you for having me.
Watching at home are, you know, feel fantastic, you know, hearing about your backstory and your plans going forward. And they look forward to seeing you back in the ring in a live setting sometime soon. So, G,
I look forward to seeing all of you guys.
Fantastic. All right, we'll be back with more House of Pain action in just a few secs. Well, a great chat there with Garrett G-Whiz Bond, and then after, a highlight video from our champion, the House of Pain heavyweight champion, the Tank Jackson Bane. Can you imagine those two men colliding in the ring? What a war that will be. Until then, from one war to another, we see Garrett G-Whiz Bond going one-on-one with the then House of Pain heavyweight champion, Big Papa Goose Troy. It is main event time here in Beeston, ladies and gentlemen. The crowd favourite Garrett G-Whiz Bond trying to take that world heavyweight title from Big Papa Goose Troy. And Troy is not waiting for the official bell with the referee. He's just thrown his vest at G-Whiz, distracting him, and he's overwhelmed him with a barrage of punches. And it's a huge buckle. Whip to the buckle. Straight impact to Garrett G-Whiz Bond's back. Troy showing a vicious side here tonight. Obviously he knows the threat that Garrett Bond presses to his title belt. As you see Garrett G-Whiz Bond returning with a reverse atomic drop, followed by a straight atomic drop and a jab. Another jab. See, crowd favourite building up the crowd. Probably not the best strategy for Garrett G-Whiz Bond in this match. Trying to be a crowd pleaser, he needs to keep his eye on the prize. As you see him again, and Troy again shuts down the momentum with a kick to the stomach. Now he's lining up his own fist and gets met with another 3 jabs to the face. But this time Garrett G-Whiz Bond is not going to fall for it. He catches the kick of Troy, sweeps his other leg, pulls him up onto his shoulders, and we're going to see a slingshot straight into the buckle. You see Troy going head first, his legs turn to jelly, and a huge left hand from G-Whiz. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, with more action after this. And we're back, House of Pain fans. This match has been back and forth, as you see both men tussling for a suplex. Troy has created some openings, but if this match was scored on points, Garrett G-Whiz Bond would be in the lead by now. As you see Troy countering a charge from Garrett G-Whiz Bond and gets sent back down to the canvas with that side slam. G-Whiz kicks out. You see the frustration beginning to rise on the Goose, Big Papa Goose Troy's face. Can he feel that title belt slipping away from his grasp? He's going to have to keep his head clear and in the game to overcome the challenge of G-Whiz. And these fans here in Beeston are firmly in G-Whiz's corner as always. As you see Big Papa Goose lock on an abdominal stretch, a smart move, creating some pain, being able to save his energy from what might be coming. As you see Garrett trying to hip toss Troy over, but Troy reverses and drops all of his body weight with that brutal double stomp right in the ribs of G-Whiz. But G-Wiz still kicking out. He wants that title belt. He wants to become a 2-time House of Pain heavyweight champion. And I think everyone here in Beeston would love to see him knock the goose off his perch. You see Troy strutting around the ring now, as only he can, full of confidence, mocking the crowd here in Beeston and their chants and cheers for G-Wiz. Probably a big mistake. He is in the ring with a second generation wrestler with wrestling in his blood, as now he's just being cheeky, returning those jabs from earlier in the match that G-Wiz delivered to him. This is not keeping your head in the game. He doesn't even have the hair to spike up, as you see G-Wiz duck, returns fire with a chop and a punch over and over and over again. He is rocking the goose on the ropes. The cameraman missed that. He saw Troy run after him. He met him with a knee as he came off the ropes, and now a full head of steam. And G-Wiz counters with a big flying punch. You see the intensity coursing through his body. He is ready to become a 2-time champion, sending Goose off the ropes and hitting a big drop kick. He is firing up here in Beeston as he fires a huge jumping forearm to the face of Troy, up on the shoulder, drops him face first on the turnbuckle, hooks him round the waist. Now round the waist, but facing with a Northern Lights throw off the ropes with a diving forearm right to the face. Troy does not know where he is. He's trying to crawl for the ropes, maybe even trying to crawl out of the ring to escape all this offense from G-Wiz. You see G-Wiz now going back to that waist lock, trying to lift Troy all the way over with a German suplex. And Big Papa Goose kicks out. A hard fought match, ladies and gentlemen. It has gone back and forth between champion and challenger. Who wants it more, G-Wiz or Big Papa Goose? As you hear again, everyone here in Beeston showing their support for G-Wiz as he tries to lift Troy up on the buckles, it seems, but Troy sees it coming, returns with some forearms to the back. Now he has G-Wiz prone, hooks his head in the front face lock, throws his arm over, going for another suplex. He couldn't hit it earlier. See G-Wiz now charging Goose back into the corner, diving those shoulders right into the midsection. Climbs up, looking to rearrange the facial features of Big Papa Goose with all these punches, as you see Mr. Number 1 Niall Hind and JJ of Pro Team jumping on the apron, causing a distraction, and Troy shoving G-Wiz off the second rope. You saw G-Wiz's head bounce off the canvas on that one. Now Troy up on the second rope. What's he going to hit? And a huge tornado DDT. And G-Wiz still kicks out. Some surprising high flying ability there by the champion. You don't see him leave his feet that often. Normally likes to control the action on the ground. Obviously he's sensing the danger that Garrett G-Whiz Bond poses when it comes to that heavyweight title. Quite a different demeanor now from Big Papa Goose, walking around the ring, not full of confidence anymore, rubbing his head in frustration, wondering what will keep G-Wiz down as he goes for a pounce, but no. G-Wiz holds onto the ropes, launches Troy over to the apron, but Troy lands on his feet and more surprising agility and walks straight up onto the shoulders, but no, he counters, pushes G-Wiz to the corner. He goes in sternum first, and now Troy misses as well. this action back and forth as G-Wiz gets hit with a boot to the face. Charging, jumping over, and that's G-Wiz's rolling knee. And Troy kicks out. Now you see the look on G-Wiz's face. I don't think anyone but LJ Heron has ever kicked out of that rolling knee. It was the move that won him the heavyweight title in the first place. But where does he go from here? Is that his ace in the hole? Does he have anything more after that move? As you see him now, again, not trying to put Troy on the top rope. He successfully managed it this time. He's climbing up to the top turnbuckle. These two men are absolutely spent as he jumps for a Hurricane Rana. And both men, oh my God. As you see, both men absolutely spent. I think G-Wiz put a little too much into that jump. Looking for a Hurricane Rana into the ring, but ended up accidentally falling outside the ring instead. As you see him rolling back in. And Troy now throwing him off the ropes. And hitting a brutal sit down powerbomb. And G-Wiz kicks out again. This crowd in Beeston very happy that G-Wiz was able to survive that horrible looking fall to the outside off the top rope. And the follow up sit down powerbomb delivered by the champion, Big Papa Goose Troy. G-Wiz still has some fight in the tank. He will not die. He wants that heavyweight title back. But Troy, you're probably going to have to kill him to take that belt off him. As you see now, what's Troy looking around for? He can't be looking to cheat. The referee's still there looking directly at him. We know Troy is definitely not above cheating in his matches when he can get away with it, that is. This is a huge mistake here, ladies and gentlemen. He's letting G-Wiz recover. He almost beat him with that sit-down powerbomb. He should be following up on the momentum that he's created for himself. Oh, I see what he's doing. He's grabbed his heavyweight title and he has walked backstage. He has given up on this match. He knows that if he loses by count out, he may lose the match, but he does not lose the title. As you see G-Wiz, he also knows full well in that rule, going backstage, searching for the champion and dragging him out up on his shoulder. Troy is not getting away from G-Wiz, but G-Wiz gets sent crashing into the steel post. And you see Troy now full of confidence diving in the ring. Oh, not like this. How the tables have turned. It looked like Troy was about to lose by count out, but now it might be Garrett G-Whiz Bond who loses by count out as he tries to pull himself back in the ring and slips. Desperate situation here. And he makes it in just before 10. You hear the crowd in Beeston erupting. Oh, he takes him with a double leg straight into a pin. The crowd in Beeston absolutely erupting when Garrett G-Whiz Bond made it back into the ring. But a miscalculation there and he ran straight into the referee. Troy with a leg hook suplex, now looking around, thinking he might have won, but you see the smile on his face now. The referee is down. And this is where Troy becomes very dangerous because there is no one to disqualify him when his pro team teammates join the fray. We really need some security around the ring during these title matches to stop this from happening. As you see Niall Hine and JJ picking up G-Wiz. Troy's got the title belt. The referee is still down. He pulls it back. But no, referee nil. darts to his feet, and he has stopped Big Papa Goose from using the belt. He sees Niall Hine and JJ in the ring, and he is kicking them backstage, much to the delight of the Beeston fans. He is not taking any crap tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Referee Neil Ayrton kicking Pro Team out of ringside. And Troy doesn't know where to put himself. He's still holding that heavyweight title, now claiming that he wasn't trying to use it. Neil takes it away. Garrett rolls him up. He's got the 3 count. He's got the 3 count. But Neil is distracted, putting the heavyweight title out of the ring. And Big Papa Goose manages to kick out. We should have had a new heavyweight champion right there, ladies and gentlemen, in G-Wiz, as he hits a beautiful TKO. But Big Papa Goose manages to get his foot on the rope. Championship survival measures there by Troy. He might not have known where he was. That leg might have just flown out, but luckily it landed on the ropes. Or maybe he did, and he's a very smart wrestler. So you see G-Wiz now trying to pull Troy to his feet. Troy breaking free. Ah, that's disgusting. A disgusting spit in the face of the challenger. G-Wiz is not happy as he charges and gets tripped and goes throat first across the middle rope. Troy coming off the ropes, going for that big knee. Garrett returns with a knee of his own, high in the air, Falcon Arrow. So you see now Garrett G-Whiz Bond going to the corner, getting the crowd hyped up. He's going again for that rolling knee. It didn't work last time. Will it work this time? But who's this? Brandon Brooks, the new member of Pro Team, the Protein, if you will, getting in Garrett G-Whiz Bond's face, defending his leader as he turns, and G-Wiz lays out Brooks with the rolling knee instead. That's what you get, little man, for getting involved. The referee has now missed. Big Papa Goose hitting Garrett G-Whiz Bond between the legs, and he follows up with that flying knee that awarded him the heavyweight title in the first place. It looked like he was going to go for the pin, but it looks like he's had second thoughts. Maybe he doesn't think one knee's enough to put down the second generation star, as you see him pulling him up. Now he's pulled the knee pad down. Or maybe now he's just rubbing it in, as you see another flying knee without the knee pad to the back of the head. And Big Papa Goose Troy retains the House of Pain heavyweight title. Here in Beeston. So close there. Garrett G-Whiz Bond almost becoming a 2-time House of Pain heavyweight champion by dethroning the heavyweight champion Big Papa Goose Troy. That's all we have time for this week. We'll see you next week for episode 18 of House of Pain Wrestling TV. Stay safe, everybody.